Good day, gentlemen. My relationship is going better than ever after over 7 years. But the harsh reality is, I got here the hard way. Because yes, when we first became a couple, everything was so easy, but pretty soon, our honeymoon phase ended. And that hit me like a brick. I wasn't prepared at all. But thankfully, I realized that this is the crucial point that separates guys who go from one broken relationship to the next from men who actually achieve the relationship they truly want. The truth is, everything in life is cause and effect. And even though people won't admit that about relationships, it is true. 0% of how my relationship went in the past and how it's going right now is by accident. 0%. So today, I'm gonna share 7 key lessons with you, brutally honest lessons that actually help me go through this phase and build the exact relationship I truly want. We'll get right into this. Lesson 1 is fuck love. I'm not saying this to sound cool, but because it's something I had to learn the hard way. Because sure, love matters, it's important, but if you want a long-lasting, fulfilling relationship, why would you rely on ever-changing hormones? The truth is, compatibility isn't just there, it's built. Or put it differently, if you want a high-level relationship, you need to become a high-level lover. A man who's capable of giving his woman the love she deserves while not giving up on his own goals. I want to tell you about a guy you know who heavily relied on love and where that led him. His name is John Lennon. Yes, the guy from the Beatles. He literally wrote a song called All You Need Is Love, and that's how he lived, always relying on love to save the day. But he also not only had 2 wives, because one marriage didn't work out, but he also beat both of them, abandoned one of his children, and verbally abused his gay Jewish manager. That's a man who believed in this romantic notion of love. He believed in finding the one instead of working on becoming truly compatible with one great woman, aka building the one relationship that stands the test of time. So then, how can you achieve this level of compatibility that me and my girl have now? Well, that leads me to lesson number 2, because one part of it is this. We use conflict to grow closer together. And if I had known this shit when I first got into my relationship, it would have not just saved me from a bunch of pain and struggle, but it would have also saved her from a bunch of pain and struggle. Funnily enough, I've actually seen Jeff Bezos talk about this in his last shareholder letter as CEO of Amazon. I'm paraphrasing here, but he said something along the lines of, I would take conflict over agreement or compromise every day because I believe it leads to better results. And look, man, just like me, you've likely been directly or indirectly conditioned to believe that conflict is bad and that you should avoid it at all cost. But look at the people who indirectly or directly taught you this. Did they never have any conflict? No. They actually had more conflict than most people, right? So why is that? Well, really, it's simple. You've probably heard of the saying, opposites attract. And it's true. The attraction between a person in their masculine energy and a person in their feminine energy is basically inevitable. It's like 2 magnets, right? If the magnets are very similar, they repel each other. If the magnets are different, they are attracted to each other. And by the way, masculine and feminine doesn't mean man and woman here, right? This is very important. This is masculine energy, feminine energy. Men participate in the masculine and the feminine, and women participate in the feminine and the masculine. And mostly, for most people, right, on average, most men are more at home in their masculine, most women are more at home in their feminine. But this is very important that you don't get this confused, because otherwise you end up with a very immature look of what masculine and feminine energy really is. Anyway, differences are what likely attracted you and your girlfriend, as it did for me and my girlfriend. But differences don't just lead to attraction, they also lead to disagreement, to conflict. Meaning, in every single second, there will be conflict, there is disagreement, because you're not the same 2 people. Wow, the sun is really bright. Sun is just popping out, which is nice. It's getting warm now, but it's really fucking bright. I can't even see the camera anymore. I'm lying here, but I'm over-exaggerating. Anyway, I'm not lying. Thing is, in every single second there is disagreement. apart from if you're literally in a relationship with a person who's exactly like you, but that is very, very unlikely because you just wouldn't be attracted to each other, right? And that is for a good reason, by the way. This is very important because if you are two similar people, I'll just go on a rant here for a second. If you're two similar people, well, then how are you gonna fill each other's gaps? Apart from you being fucking perfect, basically, like being fucking the exact perfect human, which doesn't exist. You have gaps, you have shortcomings, and the other person can compensate for that, for those, can basically like a puzzle piece fill that, right? We even know this actually when, this is so funny, right? When the people that are often attracted to each other, they have completely different immune systems, right? They have different antibodies or whatever else. I don't know the exact science behind this, right? But they have different immune systems, meaning when they have a child, that child gets the best of both of those immune systems so that it survives. So even your immune systems are very different. So anyway, do you get it now? Unless you're in a relationship with a person who's exactly like you, which will not happen, there will be conflict because you're two different people. The question is, do you hide from that conflict? Do you try to bury that conflict? Or do you work through it and use it as a tool to grow closer together, to find solutions that work better for both of you than what is currently happening? Because the people who told you that conflict is bad, they try to hide from it, to bury it. And what happens then is, instead of working through it and being able to have a fucking conscious and controlled conversation and actually work through it and find a better solution because of that, what will happen is resentment will build between them until one of them or both of them can't hold that resentment in any longer, can't hold it back any longer, and the whole situation explodes uncontrollably. And if you're similar to me, you value honesty a lot. And the only reason why you're not having these difficult conversations is because you're afraid of conflict. You don't actually know how to have these conversations. And I won't dive deeper into this here because I've already filmed an entire episode on how to have these difficult conversations and work through conflict with your girlfriend. So I'll leave a link to that in the description and the pinned comment so you can go check that out after this video. For lesson 3, you need to understand that it's not normal for sex to get worse over time in relationships. You might struggle with this after the honeymoon phase is over in your relationship, simply because, not that because it is fucking normal or because that's just how it goes, but because so far your passion for each other was built on novelty. And well, there's only so many new things you can experience with the same person, but that does not mean you have to become some degenerate to get your sexual needs met. The truth is, 99% of men struggle with this after the honeymoon phase, which is why they all tell you that sex will get worse. But let's be honest here, you don't want to settle for the relationships that 99% of men have anyway. And maybe you've already realized that if you listen to what everyone says, you can only get what everyone has, and you don't want that. So just think about this logically for a moment. Why would you get worse at something the longer you do it? Do you get weaker the longer you go to the gym consistently? Do you get worse at business the longer you run a business? No! Practice makes perfect. Again, everything is cause and effect. The real reason why for most men sex goes down after a while in their relationship is because instead of learning about what they need from sex and what their woman needs from sex and then building the skills to satisfy those needs, they just give up because they've bought into this mindset of, sex just gets worse over time. And of course, if you buy into that, if you already are convinced that sex will get worse over time, then why would you do anything about it? That would be wasted time and wasted energy. But again, sex, like everything else in life, is a skill. The longer you do it, the better you get at it. And so, don't listen to people who don't have the sex life you want. Now, for lesson 4 and 5, I want to share 2 traps that I fell in early on in my relationship that almost killed my relationship. The first one is becoming too similar. I already mentioned how differences attract people, right? I mentioned that earlier on, but I want to dive deeper into that because early on in my relationship, and I think this is the same for most people, you spend a lot of time together. But as people say, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And so for me, spending most of my time with my girlfriend, I eventually caught myself starting to talk like her. I caught myself wanting to do the hobbies that she likes instead of the hobbies that I liked before we got together. And then we would just kind of hang out. And do nothing. There wasn't this fire like before where we wanted to see each other. We were like passionate about each other. That was kind of just gone. And there was always this voice in the back of my head that was telling me, this isn't you. You're losing yourself right now. And I didn't listen to that voice for a long time, and that was a big mistake. If I'm being honest, I was very insecure at that time because I was extremely skinny. Like, I'm talking actually underweight. I'm not just saying like, oh, I was a bit skinny. I was underweight, genuinely underweight. And I was bullied a lot for that in school. And in general, I was just always this shy, insecure, kind of outsider kid. So those insecurities essentially in my relationship, they caused me to change myself actively into who I believed she wanted me to be. And this is a trap I see so many guys fall into. You change yourself, you mold yourself into what you believe she wants you to be. But I had a rude awakening when I realized that actually she doesn't like that version of me. Not just because I'm doing it from an insecure place and I'm kind of lying to her because that's not actually me, I'm just like playing a role, but mainly because she was attracted to me in the first place for me. Sounds corny, I know, but she was attracted to me, not to some role that I played, not to some version of me that I was like, oh, this is what she wants. And of course, there are evolutionary principles of what makes someone physically attractive. But that does not mean that you need to listen to some look-smaxing dork on the internet who tells you to smash your face with a hammer to improve your bone structure. What the fuck? Where have we gotten to as a fucking society? This is so crazy to me. These people, I heard this statistic yesterday, my girlfriend actually told me this, that 1 in 4, I think she said women, I'm not sure, people or women in the US got plastic surgery. What the fuck? Take care of yourself, do sports, eat well. Like I said, I was underweight for the first couple years of our relationship. Now I'm not anymore. I gained a lot of weight. I went to the gym, I did calisthenics, I do sports in general. Fantastic. I ate like 4,000 calories a day. I need to eat a lot. Like, I have a very, very fast metabolism. I do a lot of sports. I always did a lot of sports. Anyway, the truth is, beyond those physical things, as humans, what we're actually attracted to is humanness, someone who is real. Think about it. What has ensured the survival of humans for all this time? Our ability to tell someone, to tell two people apart, someone who's real, someone who's not real, someone who's gonna, like, whatever, fuck us over, and someone who's actually real, who cares about us. And women, because they're generally the physically weaker sex and generally have therefore more to worry about when it comes to getting to know people, right? They have much more of an intuition about this. What I'm saying here is her bullshit detector is very fucking advanced. This is why women have such good intuition. This is why so many great athletes, businessmen, all of them talk about, I use my woman's intuition to make progress in life. Like, when I have a big decision to make, I go to my woman, I ask her, what do you think about this? Do you think I can trust this person? Right? This happens so, maybe you've heard these stories, maybe you've read a couple biographies of like great entrepreneurs, they all talk about this, right? They play a round of golf with someone that they might want to become business partners with, and then they ask their woman later on, what do you think of this guy? Should I do business with him or not? And the woman usually knows. And the men usually don't, because women, again, they have better intuition. By the way, this is why the bad boy gets more female attention than the nice guy, because yes, the bad boy is a dick, but at least he's honest. The nice guy, he's being performative, he's wanting to appeal to women, he's changing himself to appeal to women, and therefore living without integrity. And women can smell that against the wind 1,000 meters. They know this shit. And when I realized this, because this happened to me, right, and not just female attention, all that stuff, but also when you're being that nice guy who's performative, you lose yourself in that. You lose, like I said, your integrity. That's what happened to me. You have this cognitive dissonance where you don't actually know who you are anymore. You lose your identity. And when I realized this, I was trying to fix this, but unfortunately, I have to admit, I fell into the other trap that almost killed my relationship. So let's get into lesson 6. If you're even just somewhat ambitious, I want you to listen very closely to what I'm about to say, because yes, a lot of relationships die because of people becoming too similar. And when I realized that, I went into the other extreme and I became extremely ambitious. I was very focused on my goals, and I don't regret that, because it helped me level myself up in many ways. It helped me build a life of freedom, all that stuff. But here's the simple truth. The relationships of driven men die because of one simple thing: neglect. This is a vicious trap, especially for guys who have struggled with some kind of insecurity in the past, because every bit of progress you make towards a meaningful goal for you feels incredibly good. I remember when I started my first business 6 years ago, every bit of progress felt so fucking good, and I became very addicted to that very quickly. And at the same time, my girlfriend became more and more nagging. She was always asking me to work less, to spend more time with her, and of course, that didn't make me want to spend more time with her, but less. My business, my work gave me very positive emotions. My relationship gave me negative emotions. And this went on for around 2 years until in summer of 2021, I hit a complete wall. For those 2 years, I was constantly thinking about my business. Always, my brain didn't turn off. I always had like 150 mental tabs open, so to say. And then I got to a point where I had a full nervous system breakdown. Like, I'm talking actual, like, medical burnout. Fully, not what people call burnout, not I'm a bit tired, whatever, I didn't sleep well last night. No, full nervous system breakdown. And in that moment, I had to step away from everything for a couple months. And I realized how much I had neglected myself, how much I had neglected her, and how much I had neglected our relationship. And I realized that when she was nagging and irritable and telling me to spend more time with her and work less, she wasn't actually mad at me or anything like that. She was simply trying to help me actually see what I'm doing wrong and guide me. Again, intuition, right? And also she was expressing the pain of me not stepping up as her man and giving her the love that she deserves. Brother, look, making something of yourself, making a name for yourself in this world is incredibly fantastic. My drive is one of the things I love most about myself, but I learned very quickly that most goals worth achieving can't be achieved with a quick sprint. They need a prolonged period of time where you consistently work hard. And that leads me to lesson 6. That I wish I had known early on in my relationship. Because if so many men believe that they can't achieve these goals while they're in a relationship, and they're absolutely fucking wrong. I've done it, and while I won't put myself on the same level as these men, you can look at peak athletes in any sport, from LeBron to Messi to Patrick Mahomes, Roger Federer, Rory McIlroy, Chris Bumstead, any fucking sport. You look at the peak athletes, any business venture, you look at the peak business guys, right? You look at Alex Hormozi, you look at Phil Knight, who founded Nike, you look at Larry Page from Google. All these men I just named met their woman way before their breakthrough, and they all publicly speak and credit their woman for a big part of their success. This was crucial for me to understand, because there were many times in the first couple of years of our relationship where I thought she was holding me back, but actually in reality I was holding myself back for 2 simple reasons. Number 1, I was afraid of conflict, and therefore I was afraid of having difficult conversations with her and setting healthy boundaries with her, and I've already covered that. Number 2, I didn't know how to actually love a woman deeply, how to actually deeply fill a woman with love. No one ever taught me that. I want you to think about yourself here for a moment, because back then I believed that what she wants from me are those big acts of love, like me taking her on a day trip for the weekend or us going on a nice date together. But honestly, these things conflicted massively with my big goals and with how hard I wanted to work to achieve these goals. Thankfully, I realized that these big acts of love is actually not what most women want or need from their relationships, from their men. And of course, I'm not saying that a nice weekend trip doesn't have a place. Sure, it does. But what women actually care about in reality, most women, is stability and consistency. Let me explain what I mean and what I actually did with this information in the end, so you can just copy me here. The truth is, as humans, we all subconsciously keep score with our partner. And if we think that we're doing much more for them than what they're giving us back, we will resent them and the relationship will break up over time. That's just the truth. But here's the thing, here's the problem. For you as a man, you believe if I take her on a nice weekend trip, that scores like 150 points on that imaginary scoreboard. And if I give her a loving hug, that scores like 1 point on that scoreboard. But here's what surprises every single man that I've ever explained this to, and it completely changed my life. For most women, the weekend trip and the hug, they both score 1 point. This was the key that I needed to actually turn this around and to actually balance my goals and my relationship. Because just like your body will only allocate a certain amount of protein to your muscles every meal that you eat, she will only score all of these actions with the same score, which is 1. And this can become quite a big problem because you score these so much higher than she does, right? On your scale, you're so much further ahead. You think you do so much more than she does, but she's thinking the score is balanced. When I learned this, it reminded me of something, of honestly, one of the very, very, very few things that I remember back from school. Because I learned in school that in agriculture, there is a thing called drip irrigation, which is basically when you water a plant, not with one big load of water once a day, but with small droplets of water every couple seconds or minutes through like a tube, right? Every couple seconds or minutes, there's like a drop of water that just drops out. That's what your girl is like. She needs small, consistent acts of love. That's what actually fills her heart. She's like a flower that needs little bits of water regularly, not like a cactus that needs one big load of water once a year. And because this is so much easier to give than planning these day trips, these massive weekend getaways or whatever for your girl, this makes it so much easier for you to actually work hard on your goals and actually achieve those goals. And trust me, working hard alone will not get you there. Like I said, I've experienced burnout on one of the worst levels. This was one of the worst experiences of my life, to be honest. I never want to get to that point again. So, brother, make use of the relaxing and peace-giving abilities your girlfriend likely has. Let the time that you spend with her pull you out of your busy head, and let that time that you spend with her recharge you for the battles that lie ahead in your goals, in your work. Now we've arrived at lesson 7, and this is by far the most important lesson in this entire video, because I always keep the most valuable lessons to the end of these videos, so only guys like you who are actually fully committed to improving their relationship, only guys like you get these lessons. So here we go. One thing that my girl and I focused on heavily throughout our entire relationship was supporting each other in the things we want to do. And that sounds fantastic at first, right? But then you realize that even though we met through our friend group and we both grew up in the same small rural town in southern Germany, a third of our relationship so far, over 7 years, was spent on long distance. Because of this, she traveled a lot and studied at a university in Germany, and once I had the freedom to do this, to work from everywhere basically, I wanted to live in different countries, while up until last year she was still studying in Germany. And then even when we were in the same location, I was working 70 to 80 hours a week on the different businesses that I've tried. And so I think you can see how this can lead to a lot of problems. But for me and her, we knew pretty much from the start that we both have very big goals in life, and that we have very many, that's shit English. Get it together, Benny. I'm German, right? My English isn't perfect, but we have so many different interests. We have such big goals for our lives. We knew from the start that this is the only way we're ever gonna make this relationship work in a proper way. And it wasn't fucking easy. Of course we struggled a lot. Of course we seriously considered multiple times to end this relationship and go separate ways, up until I read about one simple concept. And even if you and your girlfriend are not in these extreme situations, this will still help you massively. This concept comes from the field of attachment science, and it's called the dependency paradox. All right, brother, unfortunately, my camera just overheated, so I'm filming on my phone now. This happened in the past. It's not even that warm, but it's, I think, the direct sunlight. If you're a filmmaker, please comment down below, like, what can I do to stop my camera from overheating, apart from, like, put an umbrella over it, because that's not very useful, I think, to block the direct sunlight. But if there's anything that I can do, please let me know. Anyway, you've probably heard of those terms of anxious attachment, avoidant attachment, right? That's attachment science. And by the way, I've struggled with anxious attachment very, very heavily at the start of my relationship. I've made many videos on that. If you struggle with that, you'll find those videos on my channel if you're interested. But back to that dependency paradox. The dependency paradox basically states that if you want to feel independent and fulfilled in life, the way to get there is not by becoming this super self-reliant, self-sufficient person that always does everything by themselves and never needs any help. The way to get there, the actual way to get there, is by finding people that you can depend on. Family members you can count on, friends who have your back, and most importantly, a woman you know you can depend on, a woman that you build your life together with, that you build a family together with. And I didn't believe this paradox at first, I'll be honest, because through the bullying that I've experienced and just through in general being kind of the outsider kid, I learned to be a very self-sufficient person. I learned to function well by myself, and I honestly struggled for a long time in my life to even ask for help with very small things, because I just thought, no, I'll just do it myself, whatever. I don't want to annoy anyone, I'll just do it myself, whatever, all that stuff, right? Maybe you're also similar to me, where growing up you didn't really feel comfortable or weren't really able to talk to your parents about everything, and because of this you became this very self-reliant man who functions well on the outside but sometimes feels very lonely on the inside. If that's you, I've got great news for you, because while you can't change the past, you can change the future. While you didn't have this in childhood, you can absolutely make sure that you build a life with a great woman by your side, and that your relationship supports both of you in working towards your goals and achieving your goals, and makes it easy for you. You can, as an adult, create what attachment researchers call the secure base, basically like a checkpoint where you, like in a video game, right, where you know that whatever happens, you know she will be there for you. And that's beautiful, because even for the strongest men, this makes it so much easier for them to chase that dream, to build that business, to take that risk. Now, I'm not saying this will be easy. The exact opposite, actually. For me and my girl, it took many very difficult conversations for us to get here. And I was shit at having these difficult conversations a couple years ago. But, like with anything in life, it is a skill that I've developed, and you can do the exact same thing. And to make sure that you don't also need years like I did to actually develop this skill, I've already filmed an episode for you where I break down the exact step-by-step framework for how I can't talk anymore, for how I have difficult conversations with my girlfriend, so that you can do the same. And also I cover how to overcome some fears that you might have about having difficult conversations with her. So you can go watch that right now. I'll talk to you soon, and I'll probably check the surf right now, because I think it looks quite fun this morning. There is an ocean behind me, in case you didn't know. So you have a great day. Go watch this video right now. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.